This is Radar for On the Radar Entertainment Blog, coming to another edition of Movie Reviews and Observations number 83. Jam-packed week. First movie I watched was Here Today with Billy Crystal and Tiffany Haddish. And Billy Crystal basically is playing a fictionalized version of himself, a longtime comedian, comedy writer, currently working on like an SNL spoof in New York. They're like, okay, cool. But then you're like, is it a romantic comedy? Because Tiffany Haddish is so much younger, a different race, completely different personality. Didn't know who he was, the character in the movie, all that other stuff. And it turned into like a friendship more than a relationship. So you're like, okay, cool. The whole movie was Billy Crystal trying to come to the terms of the fact that he is forgetting things and he's like dementia or like Parkinson's or something like that. And he is, forgetting things, doesn't, and he is growing old. So it was a very somber movie. It felt like it was a drama more than a comedy. There were moments of funny, like when they were filming the comedy show, or he's talking or doing different things to make light of stuff. But overall, it was a good movie. Except for I'm not a huge fan of Tiffany Haddish because she's oversaturated the last 5 years. She's a little bit too much, a little bit annoying. Wasn't believable as a singer because it didn't sound that good to begin with. And as I said, if the library does not put a comedy sticker on here, I'll go into thinking, okay, 2-hour drama with Billy Crystal and Tiffany Haddish about him dealing with growing old. Yeah, I would have been like, amazing. But the fact that I thought it was a comedy, I'm like, no. It laughed maybe 2% of the times, and those are very specific roles in the movie. And the other thing is, they barely showed his daughter's wife. Is his son even married? And if his son is married, they barely showed both them. There was no background of why he has an Asian granddaughter. Did his daughter, was she unable to conceive? I don't really know. It was like really weird. There was some plot holes there. So an hour and 50 something minute movie, it was okay. Then I watched Michelle Pfeiffer and Lucas Hedges in The French Exit. And this was like an hour 49, hour 50-minute movie as well. But it was obviously a drama. Basically, everybody's saying, oh, this is her great film, the blah, 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 the best of her life. And I'm like, no. This movie was horribly written. It was weird. It was all over the place. It was basically her husband died years ago. And it was just her and her son. Their money runs out, so they live at a friend's place in France, and they become friends with other people. He's having a weird relationship with Igman Poots, and it's just like, okay, what's going on here? And it's just like, I don't really know. And basically, it's just her getting away with whatever the hell she wants, because that's who she is. Her son basically having an unhealthy relationship with her, and then his girlfriend, fiance, and eventually they found a cat that supposedly embodied her ex-husband, or her husband who died, blah, blah, blah. And it was just like, okay, that's it. And then they have some weird psychic talk to her, the cat, all this other stuff. So it was a horribly written movie, horribly put together, and you're sitting there for an hour and 50 minutes going, when is this movie going to end? What's going on? Is it supposed to be a drama? Is it supposed to be a comedy? A drama is supposed to be a supernatural movie? Like, there's just so many elements, and Michelle Pfeiffer was doing her best in his role, so she kind of led this movie, because if she wasn't in the movie and it was some other actress, the movie would have sucked. It was just, not a good use of your time. And then I watched a documentary, Oliver Sacks' Own Life, about this great, doctor and writer who found out that he was going to die of cancer and stuff, so they made this documentary with interviews and all these other stuff, and that it was a pretty informative movie, but again, sometimes documentaries drag on, and this dragged on for what felt like 3 hours, but it was only an hour and 40 minutes. But it was interesting to learn about this guy even more, and it was pretty good. If you like documentaries and you're interested in this great mind, and this guy who was a great smart person, and he was a good doctor, all this other stuff, then yeah, I would watch it. But again, it's like drags on. Then my roommate was like, let's watch a movie, and I was already watching the documentary, so I said, what do you want to watch? So we watched Luca, and Disney Pixar had done it again. A movie that makes you cry, and it's a little sad, different moments of the movie, and there's some humor throughout the movie, and it was about, like accepting yourself, like, oh no, they might want to kill me because I'm the sea monster, oh, we're not the popular kids, hang out with the non-popular girl, and it's about finding friends and fitting in. It was like very good, and they went over the top with Italian themes, with like the names, and the music, and the character, and cats having mustaches. It was very weird and interesting, but yeah, this is definitely a movie. And, I like that Jim Gaffigan was in there. I could do that Maya Rudolph, but Jim Gaffigan was in there. That this is definitely a great kids movie for all ages, and you'll all enjoy it because there's so many different characters and interesting things happening in the movie that you'll like it. So I definitely recommend Luca. It's not a long movie. Then I watched a Danish movie called Another Round, and the most famous actor is Mads Mikkelsen. So I don't know if this is exactly his, native language, but it was an hour 50 something minutes too, and it's basically all of these middle-aged teachers are not sure what they're going on in their life, and they feel like they hit their peak already. So they said, you know what? Let's see if we start drinking a little bit every day and then amping it up to see if we become more creative and we become better at their job. If they're an English teacher, they're a better writer. If they're a coach, they're a better coach. If they're like a music teacher, they're better at teaching music and working on music. And they do the study, but obviously you know what's going to happen, cliche. It's going to become a problem. They're going to be alcoholics. They're going to pass out everywhere. They're going to get injured. They're going to ruin their marriages and their relationships with their family and stuff. So that's basically what happened in the movie. But yeah, it was an okay movie. Again, it's not a movie I would go rush out and watch, but it was okay. Then I watched Judas and the Black Messiah with Daniel Kaluuya and Luca Stanfield. And I will say this. Thank you for the show Atlanta, because Brian Tyrese Henry, who's been a bunch of the movies and TV shows, and this Lakeith Stanfield, I'm like, and then this Zazie Beetz. Like, nobody ever heard of these people until Donald Glover cast them to be in the show. And I've seen plenty of big-time movies, even if they're flops, or they're really good. Like, I just saw the Godzilla, versus King Kong movie, and I added Brian Tyrese Henry. Lakeith Stanfield did a great job, because he's been in some really small-time movies and big-time, and basically, he gets in trouble for impersonating a federal agent and stealing and stuff. And Jesse Plemons, who's good at playing cops and agents, federal agents or racist white guys in the past, or, dirty cops or drug dealers. Like, it seems like he's in that kind of set thing. So he's the one that tells Lakeith Stanfield, if you don't infiltrate the Black Panther movie in Illinois, which is played by Daniel Kaluuya, this Fred Hampton guy, then you're going to go to prison for a long time. So he goes, infiltrates it. It's based off a true story, so it was a pretty good job. The movie actually kind of moved pretty quickly for a 2-hour plus movie compared to the 3 or 4 hour 50-something minute dramas I watched. And it was pretty good. You learn about the fact that when you're from Illinois, you didn't know all this stuff happened, and they're also taking care of, that they teamed up with rednecks and Puerto Ricans. So it was a very interesting movie to learn all about this stuff. And Martin Sheen playing, J. Edgar Hoover. They did a good job on the makeup, because I couldn't even tell it was him looking at him, but I could tell by his voice. So again, this Daniel Kaluuya guy, Get Out, all these other movies, Black Panther, he's been a good job at acting in movies, and same thing with Lakeith Stanfield. So I definitely would suggest this, even though it was longer than all the other movies. Then I watched Preparations to Be Together for an Unknown Period of Time, and you're like, wow, that's a very long title. And the movie's only an hour and 30-something minutes. So long name, short movie, and it was in Hungarian. So basically, they want to sell it to you as like this, psychological movie where this woman says thinks she's going to go back to Budapest because she's been living in the United States even though she's Hungarian, and she's this well-known, neurosurgeon, doctor, and she's supposed to meet up with this dude, but the dude doesn't meet up with her, so she tracks him down. He goes, I don't remember you. And she's going to try to figure out what's going on there and all this other stuff, and it turned into maybe he does really know her, they are supposed to be together, blah, 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 blah. And basically it's her trying to figure out what is wrong with her, what is wrong with him, and it's a very flimsy plot, which is why it's an hour and 30-something minute movie, and you're just like, okay, I get the plot. She's trying to figure out why is this happening, what's going on, try to explore relationships, and it was okay. It wasn't that great, but the only positive thing about the movie was it was short. Then the last movie I watched this week was Silk Road, with Jason Clarke playing an agent who, was demoted to cyber crimes, and back then, he can't be kicking down doors and doing what he used to do, and Nick Robinson was the dude who created this site. So it's based on a true story, and obviously everything was true about it, but again, hour 50-minute movie, it was pretty good. It was better than some of the movies I watched this week, where he basically made this website called Silk Road where people can sell drugs, and you can't figure out who it is using bitcoins and all these other untraceable things. And it was interesting how he was in this movie, and he had a girlfriend and some best friends, and then Jimmy Simpson, who, we know him as McBoyle from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. He was playing a federal agent working in this movie, and then at the same time you had Katie Aselton from The League and Legion, and she's playing Jason Clarke's wife. So you had some pretty famous actors or familiar faces from long-running TV shows. And basically about him setting it up, him working together, and then the dude who was in that movie that what's his Name? Clint Eastwood made and stuff. That fat dude who, He was in a bunch of movies, including the figure skating movie as well. Paul Walker Hustler, like he was in it, and he was also working with the website and selling stuff. So it was like all about him setting the site up, how far he can get to, and then people trying to track him down. Because Jason Clarke's character was pretty like stupid. He didn't know anything about websites, so he had his own informant teach him how to do this and all this other stuff. So it was like pretty cool movie with like the agencies trying to take him down and him trying to not get caught and continue going. And I'm gonna say this about Nick Robinson. He's played gay men, he's played straight men, he's played like teenagers, he's played young 20-something-year-olds in a movie. Like this dude at 26 has been a pretty accomplished actor, and I could say this, man. I saw him in Jurassic World. He was great in Love, Simon, and he was also in like an FX TV show. Like this dude is a pretty good actor. Like he's been in pretty good movies, and he's been pretty convincing in all of them. And I'm just gonna say this: like he made this movie. If it was anybody else playing the main character in the movie, you know, Ross Ulbricht, it probably would have been not as good. So definitely Silk Road, Judas and the Black Messiah are probably the two best dramas that are like long movies, hour 50 to 2 hour long. So I suggest those. Luca was the best movie overall because it had everything you want in a kids movie. You know, fitting in, accepting others. You know, laughs, good story, good animation, moments of, you know, where you were sad and all this other stuff. It was great. If Here Today had didn't have a comedy sticker on there and it was a drama, I may have liked it even more. I would say this: Another Round. You could watch it, but I wouldn't die to watch it. It's French Exit and preparation to be together for a known period of time. I definitely would not go out and rush to watch. And Oliver Saxon only if you're actually interested in watching him. Thank you for listening to another edition of Movie Reviews and Observations number 83. For On the Radar Entertainment Blog, I'm Radar. See you guys next time.